All right, and we are
All
back
right.
on this episode of the of What's Up Wrestler on the Nerds of Wrestling podcast. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but as we were picking up where we left off, Frog, Can't Believe Frog really kind of started. Obviously, it started last year, last summer. If I'm not mistaken, Chris Livin's project. Shout out to Chris, fantastic guy. I interviewed Chris a couple months back over the summer. He's a great dude. Great story. Just a phenomenal referee, obviously. And but tell us about Camp Leapfrog. What really is Camp Leapfrog?
Okay, so Camp Leapfrog is the brainchild of Chris Levin. It is a pro wrestling summer camp, and we did our first episode this summer, and it was just very much pro wrestling summer camp. You know, we're all campers. Our matches come from conflicts we have at summer camp. Like, for example, I was an arts and craft counselor, and a match came out of my friendship bracelet making class, right? So it was real fun. It was just supposed to be a break from the norm that we have in wrestling, right? It was supposed to be very relaxed, very casual, very story heavy, but still with really good wrestling, right?
Yeah.
So just something to break up the monotony of everything that we get inundated with these days. And it was very well received. So we did a Halloween special where I have to save the world from Amasis after Killian summons him with an evil Ouija board. And people loved it. People loved it. So Chris kept the ball rolling. We did the trios tournament as kind of an ode to Chikara, since we have a lot of campers that came from Chikara as their background, right? That was a wonderful tournament. It was so much fun. Still mad that we lost to the Goons, but we will get our revenge. Erica Lee and Peter and I. So we did that. And then once again, it was like super just well received. I think people really enjoy and embrace that it's just very plot centric and fun, right? So we have one coming up this weekend that will be airing on the 14th, which is Sunday, the 14th.
Yep.
Yeah. So it'll be airing on Sunday the 14th on IWTV. It's Camp Love Frog. Yes. And I will be wrestling Ryan Nova. So please tune in and check that out. It's an awesome match. I think everyone's really going to enjoy the story and the match, or the match and the story behind it. I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but it's a great time. But the overall premise of the show is that Still Life with Apricots and Pears is hosting a Valentine's Day party, and Effie is her best friend and is coming to help her make sure the party goes off without a hitch. So obviously, anybody familiar with any form of entertainment knows that there will be camaraderie and shenanigans that ensue. So please tune in on IWTV. It's super great. It's going to be such a good show, such a feel-good show. You can actually watch for free with the code Leapfrog. So
even better, IWTV with a promo code Leapfrog.
That's great. There's nothing like it. It's fun.
Yeah, I heard. I try to catch a lot of Camp Leapfrog. There, like I said, there's so much wrestling, and it's extremely overwhelming. Just for a wrestling fan, not in the bad way. But what was that?
You can pick and choose these days. Like, it's almost impossible to catch live. I have days where I'm like, let's watch this show back. Let me see what happened on AEW this week. Like, we went from everybody sitting around waiting for Monday night to watch wrestling to having wrestling on every night of the week. Like, how crazy is that? That's awesome, though. It's not crazy. It's awesome.
It's awesome. A young Justin, back when I was 12, when I started watching wrestling, I could not wait to watch Monday Night Raw. I used to tell my mom all the time, how lucky are we? Us wrestling fans, we get a wrestling show every single Monday, no matter what. If you were to tell 12-year-old Justin that you're going to be getting wrestling every single night, I'd be like, oh, you're crazy. Like, what other wrestling is there? I discovered the indies when I was like 18, and I'm 26 now. So it hasn't even been 10 years. It felt like a long time. But man, I
love
am
that
so
there's
happy.
so much wrestling. I think it's.
I'm so happy I discovered the independents because I got to meet a lot of great wrestlers. Got to start this podcast last year. Without the indies, obviously, this whole podcast, this whole Nerds of Wrestling, What's Up Wrestler, it would definitely not be a thing. So independents, man. In my opinion, I think a lot of the independent wrestling is better than WWE. I never said that.
Well, the thing that I always try to consider is the audience is different, right?
Right.
Like WWE is maybe not trying to 100% target 26-year-old males. Like they're trying to get families, they're trying to get little kids, they're trying to get moms. You know, they're aiming for a different group of people than say AEW or independent wrestling, right? You know, and
Right.
but that's good though, because then there's like wrestling alternatives for everybody. But you can't expect one company to be a covers all the bases, because there's always going to be somebody that's like, well, they don't do this, well, they don't do that, well, I don't like this, well, I don't like that, and it's like, cool, go eat that flavored donut, you know. But to me, it's just
Yeah.
unrealistic. Like, there's no way a company like WWE or AEW is ever going to make every single person happy. They simply can't. So instead of like people getting mad about it, I wish they would just go find stuff they do enjoy watching. You know, like maybe this is a great opportunity if you're not feeling like if you're not feeling like you're getting what you want out of wrestling from watching WWE, maybe you should check something out like GCW or Camp Leapfrog or, you know, Synergy or something on IWTV. Or there's so many options for you. Or maybe you would like Japanese wrestling, check New Japan World out, right? So the fact that those options exist just, to me, makes anybody who's like, well, I don't like WWE, like invalid.
Yeah.
Like, well, go watch something else. You have tons to pick from.
Yeah.
You know?
You also have these straight WWE fans who absolutely refuse to watch anything. Like if you tell them, "Yo, go check out AEW, they're killing it." Nah, fam. Like I'm straight WWE. Like F AEW. Like they're just, you'll hear them say they're a bunch of wannabes. And I personally do not like those kind of wrestling fans, because if you're a wrestling fan, you should like all wrestling, not just WWE. But like you said, there's a variety of, you know, donuts out there. There's donuts for everybody. You pick and choose. But you know, like it also isn't bad to, you know, give a different try.
Yeah, you know, I don't have a problem with anybody who only wants to watch WWE. If you have found your little piece of the pie and that's what you like, go take it and sit in your corner and eat it. Like, it does not bother me. The thing that really bothers me is that people are just like so like, they have so much animosity towards each other about like what other people do and don't like. And it's like, well, like I said, everybody just take your little piece of the pie and go eat it in your corner. Like, there doesn't need to be animosity, because we're all different people and we all like different things. Like, there's nothing wrong. Like, if you want to watch nothing else than WWE, that's fine. Like, go enjoy wrestling. Like, if that's what you find enjoyable, okay. Like,
Yeah.
if you think AEW sucks, fine, okay. Like, it's that's the thing, is everybody's allowed to feel these things, you know. It's
Yeah, of course.
I don't get it. You just can't put energy into it, right? Like, I just try not to put energy into negative. Being which I'm all about vibes, and I just refuse to give anything any form of a stronghold on my energy by that. Like, people like that, I just don't pay any attention to. Like, if people say mean stuff about me on Twitter, I don't even pay any attention to it. I usually just go to their account and mute them. Like, I'm like, whatever. You can't be bothered by the negativity of others in any capacity in your life. Like, you have to really learn to not only be in control of your own emotions, but to not let other people's emotions make you out of control of your emotions, right? Because there are some people that are just like prickly people, like a cactus, right? You ever touch a cactus and then you get stuck and you're just, and they're trying to pull it out of your hands, and right? And people are like that with emotions. So you have somebody that's like an emotional cactus, right? And they prick you, and then like you're angry and you're emotional and you're frustrated, and like it just consumes you, right? Versus if you are aware that other people can be like that and you just kind of keep your distance from it, like, okay, like that person's a little bit prickly today, let's just not get pricked, you know? So just being able to be in control of your own emotions and like be aware of like other people's emotions too, like, and not let them consume you.
Right. We're talking about so much wrestling, obviously, wrestling all over the place. You like what you like, you pick and choose. When did you start discovering other wrestling, you know, other than WWE? Because all this wrestling has been around for years, but WWE was such a, obviously, like the biggest platform that everybody was first hooked to. Did you first get hooked to WWE, or was it something else and then WWE?
I was I mean, I grew up watching WWF.
Okay.
And a little WCW, ECW as well. I'm in that age group, so that was what I grew up watching. And then as I got a little bit older, I started, the internet became more prominent. So we had DSL, we didn't have dial-up anymore, and like you could actually like out there, right? So that's kind of how I got really into TNA, and I got really into like Ring of Honor. I really enjoyed watching Ring of Honor as a teenager, like from 04 to 09. Like
wow.
it was cool. It was really, really cool to go train at Black and Brave, being somebody that at 19 years old, I watched Tyler Black wrestle for the ring championship, right? Things like that. And then, obviously now, like the way the internet is now, you can watch whatever the hell you want. I love watching like 1990s Michinoku Pro. That's one of my favorite indulgences. I just love all the character work. I love how everybody's so unique, but the wrestling's so solid, and they have just fun little move sets. It's really such a cool little product they have.
Yeah. ROH, all these other promotions were around for years. You discovered all these other wrestling promotions at a younger age than I did. Like I said, I discovered independent wrestling when I was 18. But like,
well, I was 18 in 2008. So when I was 18, that was like Ring of Honor was really starting to catch steam, right?
Okay, you're not much older than me. I'm 26.
No,
I was
not.
like 14. Yeah.
4 years is a lot, like in wrestling time, right? Like if you think about it, like the way things evolve and the way things grow. So yeah, it makes sense that like people didn't really catch on to independence until they got older. Because like as a kid, you're not looking for that. You're just looking to see John Cena kick ass every week, like or The Rock or whoever. That's your thing. Like and that's so cool.
The first independent wrestling show I went to was I don't know if you ever heard of CTWE. It was Connecticut Wrestling Entertainment. Back in 2012, they used to run at the Bethany Town Hall, which is now ran by Northeast Wrestling NEW. I was so I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan of NEW. I love Northeast Wrestling. I go to all their shows when I can. But yeah, the first time I discovered independent wrestling was in the Bethany Town Hall in 2012, and it was CTWE, Seasons Beatings. I saw a young.
I think every independent wrestling promotion has a Seasons Beatings show. I'm just gonna
of course.
If you're like Google search that, there would be like 3 in every state. Guaranteed.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. I've seen a lot over the years.
Yeah, it's a lot. That was my first time seeing Season Beatings. I didn't know what it was. I was like, ooh, this wrestling show. My friend was like, hey, do you want to go? I was like, fuck it, yeah, let's go. I went, and I fell in love with independent wrestling. I was looking up all these wrestlers. I was following them on Twitter. A lot of them who I still know now, who are still wrestling. First time I saw Anthony Green, who is now August Gray in WWE, fucking killing it in 205 Live.
Such a fun character. I adore that. I adore his entire gimmick. I think it's just fun, and I wish there were more fun things in wrestling like that. Right? Just stuff like enjoyable.
He's so good. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of him. Like I said, I met him back in 2012. Fast forward almost 10 years later, he signed to WWE. Like absolutely killing it on 205 Live. Shout out to August Gray, Anthony Green, just phenomenal guy. And shout out to independent wrestling in general. I don't know, like I said, where I would be without independent wrestling, because I met amazing people through the years. I've been going to the shows, through the podcast, through Nerds of Wrestling. So wrestling is very, very important in a lot of people's lives, including mine. So it's crazy.
I mean, I think that's why we're all here, is because we love wrestling.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like we said, wrestling is just an incredible thing. After, what was your mindset stepping into your first match? I know where it's like a weird segue, but like after you were done with training, you're like, okay, I'm ready to go. What was your mindset stepping into the ring for the very first time?
In training, you actually have practice matches, but there's like the match, right? Like the first match. And it's like you kind of don't have time to like get that stressed over it because it all happens so quick, right? You do have that little tiny oh shit moment, like time to do the thing before you go out there. But once you go out there, like, and you have to just do it, like you don't even think of any stress or any nerves because you're just so focused on doing what needs to be done. So I would say that like actually having the match was not nerve wracking, but like that hour leading up to it, I was like dying. I was like, oh, because like you're like, I've been training my whole life for this moment. And it's not even so much that, it's just stressful, you know, because you want to do well, or at least I want to do well. I don't know why other people get stressed, but a big beacon of my stress in wrestling is just wanting to do well, wanting to perform well for the fans, wanting to have a good match, wanting to have a match that like I'm happy with, that my opponent's happy with, you know. That's where my stress comes from, is like wanting to perform and meet everybody's expectations. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you said, obviously during training you were stepping into the ring, but like you answer the question, like your first match was intense. Obviously a lot of nerves were going on
and
in
you
your
always think
mind.
you're ready, and then you realize stuff like, oh wait, I never really thought about how I would go to the ring, because you're so caught up on like the wrestling part, right?
Right, yeah.
And then, but then that's how you grow, is you start to learn how to become more of a performer, and not and still a wrestler, but a performer, and how to incorporate elements of your character into your moveset, into your entrance, into everything you do, you know.
Right.
And you have to unfortunately have that first match where you're just like to get there. So
Yeah, what was your first match? Like I interviewed a lot of wrestlers. A lot of wrestlers say, "Oh, a battle royal." Oh, my first match was a ladder match. Oh, my first match was a tag team match. Oh, my first match was actually I was disguised as a fan in the crowd and the wrestler attacked me and I got to have a match later that night. I hear crazy stories. What was your first match like? What was it?
my first match was at Goddesses of War in
Oh,
New Jersey. It was against Debbie Kane, and it was an okay
wow.
match. It was
Nice.
actually a good little first match. You know, it was not bad. I don't think it was, you know, a 5-star match because it's your first match, but it was all right. You know, it was a nice way to kind of ease into it and have a match and get acclimated with the process without it being like too much right out the gate or too little, you know? So I enjoyed that experience. It was fun. And it is like kind of ripping a band-aid off. Like once you have the first one, you're like, okay, the second one's not as bad. And then you have the third one and you're like, all right, I think I'm starting to find a rhythm. And
Starting to
as
get
you
into it.
do more and more, it becomes, it's still stressful, but you get more of a plan. Like you kind of, you learn yourself better. Like you learn, this is what I do well, this is what I'm going to do. And then you have go-tos and you're not constantly stressing over that. So
Yes.
it's good. You just
Yes.
have to get out there and do it. Like, even if you're nervous, like if you're somebody who's watching this and you're training wrestling and you're nervous, like I encourage you to just do it. Even if you go out and have your first match and it's god awful, like just do it, because you're going to feel so much better just doing it. And like the sense of independence that comes with knowing that you can stand on your own 2 feet in wrestling. Because a lot of us are brought up with mentors. A lot of us are brought up with, you know, our first couple of matches sometimes are people we know really well and take care of us. But there's something to be said for just going out there and having a match with somebody you've never met before in a state you've never been to, for a promotion
Yeah.
you don't know anything about, because it pushes you out of your comfort zone and make you better at the end of the day. If you stay in the same spot and you wrestle the same people and you don't like go out there and like just try to kind of be on your own 2 feet, like you're never going to get there. So as scary as it is, it's good to have those experiences. Like, I mean, honestly, like for a 9th match, GCW was a tall order, but I'm so glad I had that experience because it made me so much better as a performer. And it made me so much more confident in my ability to perform, and that I could stand on my own 2 feet, and that I didn't need to have someone constantly holding my hand, like that I could fly, you know, like I could
Yeah,
fly
no.
out and I wasn't going to like plummet to my death. So it's good to have those experiences, and just in life in general, like even not wrestling related, it's good to like go out of your comfort zone sometimes, or do things that you don't necessarily ready for, because they're all wonderful learning experiences to have.
100%. That, oh my god, that is absolutely incredible advice. Just mind blown. I love it. Like you were saying, just do it. Like you said, the first time is scary, the second time, okay, I'm getting used to it,
Oh,
this
I'm
and that.
bugging. First time I was like, ah.
And Goddesses of War is that's a big promotion. Goddesses of War is that's a very good stepping stone to get
Yeah.
into for your first match.
Yeah, it was nice because like through getting that match there and then obviously having footage of that match, I was able to get matches at other bigger places. I had a match in Vegas for Poder Dos at the FSW Arena in December that was really awesome. It's gotten me opportunities to work on Camp Leapfrog. It has gotten me the opportunity to have a match at GCW. It's gotten me the opportunity to have a match at Synergy. And you just keep getting better matches and better footage and you work better places. Like, see, it does work. The system works. You just have to, just keep pushing.
Yeah, I honestly felt the same with my podcast. When I first started this podcast, I was okay. Well, first of all, I'm not a wrestler. I don't think I will ever be a wrestler. I don't think I will ever be able to do it.
That's totally fine.
These wrestlers are incredible.
Get this. So there are people that, obviously I went to Black and Brave, which is a wrestling school in Iowa, and people pay to go to this wrestling school and they pay, I think it's $3,500, right? And you don't get your money back if you quit. So, and that's how it is at all wrestling schools, right? But there are people that like come and they take that first bump and then they just go, nope, this isn't for me, and they leave. So like it's totally okay for wrestling to not be for you. Let's just hope that you figure that out before you spend all that money. But
$3,500, fuck that. Hell no.
That's wrestling school though. I mean, it's like a trade school, right? It's totally worth it. I mean, I would pay that time and time again to have the education that I got there in wrestling. It was phenomenal.
It's all worth it in the long run.
Yeah, but it's also okay to like, not want to be physically wrestling. Like there's so many other ways to be involved. You can do a podcast, you can do commentary, ring announcing, interviewing, like you could be a referee. There's so many different aspects of this business to be involved in. So it's totally cool if you're not like in the actual physical wrestling part of it. There's space for everyone.
Of course, wrestling is so broad. There's so much, like you said, there's so much you could do in wrestling. I do my podcast. I still get nervous doing podcasts. Like this is my first time going live, like, on Facebook, like in this platform. I used to just do video calls and send them on over. And I still got nervous even calling them. But last year, I interviewed over 75 wrestlers and I only started the podcast last February. And within July of 2020, I already had 75 interviews under my belt, which is a lot. Yeah, which is a lot. A lot of people will say, Justin, you're stupid. Justin, you're nuts. Like you just worn yourself out in like 4 months, but it was worth it. It was so worth it. I wasn't doing anything. I was laid off from work. I was home all day doing nothing. I'm like, I got to do a podcast. I was doing a podcast every single day and 100% worth it. And I'm very happy with the success that the podcast has brought to me.
Well, I appreciate people like you doing podcasts because with the pandemic, it's not like we are working shows every weekend. So we don't have this constant influx of content to keep our social media channels active and going, right? Like everybody's scraping. But doing these interviews is a great way to kind of talk to the fans, like make friends with other podcasters, and you get your name out there because you guys put this all on your Facebooks, you put it on your websites, and that elevates us. So it's really awesome that you guys provide this to us as a tool, and I think everybody should take advantage of it if they're given the opportunity. I know that if you're like working under a contract someplace, you're working at a bigger place, then obviously they have PR you have to go through, which is fine. But if you're a young wrestler, like definitely do this because this is another way to just kind of get yourself out there.
Exactly. No matter what, no matter what the podcast. I mean, obviously, if it's about wrestling, the person is going to interview about wrestling, but that doesn't mean it's all about wrestling. Like I learned that on the go. Like, hey, Justin, your interviews are good, but don't make it so generic. Like, have fun with it. Ask them different questions, get the ball rolling. So that's why I talk about food. That's why I talk about movies, Netflix, all this other stuff. We're talking about food before.
Like to eat. Food is a safe.
You said you like pizza, right? I hope you like pizza.
I do like pizza.
All right. A very important question that determines the entire outcome of this podcast. Do you put pineapples on your pizza?
No, not usually. I'm
Thank
not like
God.
I'm not offended by it. Like I eat
Oh,
pineapple pizza, but it's not like my go-to, if that makes sense. Like I like pepperoni, bacon, and banana pepper, but
ugh,
ugh.
ugh.
Like, what do you eat? Cheese?
No, no, no. Take out the banana pepper and pepperoni
Oh,
bacon.
okay, because I know
That's
you
my
said it's
go-to.
just a
I
little kid
love.
taste, so I was like, oh, he just has cheese pizza. That's
No,
fine.
oh no, no. Come on. I'm
Okay.
not. I'm not Kevin McAllister. I like pepperoni. I like bacon. I like sausage. I'm glad you got that joke. No, I was saying ill to the banana pepper. I'm a big, 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 like I said, big picky eater. Do not put vegetables on my pizza. Do not put fruit on my pizza. I love pizza. Don't make me hate it by putting fucking broccoli on there. No, no way. Absolutely not. No, I can't. I can't do it. I can't. I just walk away. I just walk away. I can't. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like I don't hate pineapple on pizza. It's just like if somebody asks me what I want and I get to pick, pineapple's not my first pick.
Oh,
If that's fair. I don't hate
ugh,
it. Like it's okay. It's okay.
no, I can't. I can't. I'm sorry. I mean, I never even had it, and I have still like I never
How
had
can you
broccoli.
like dislike something you've never tried?
That's just me. Okay, that's me. That's how I
Like,
am.
didn't
That's
your mom make
Justin.
you try things as a kid?
Oh
Like,
God,
didn't you
no.
just take one bite?
No,
And if you don't like it, you don't have to eat it?
no.
But
Mom,
you're a
if you're
picky eater
listening,
because your mom didn't make you try stuff.
Mom, if you're listening, I'm sorry. You shouldn't have made me try more food when I was younger. Same thing to my dad. My dad, if you're listening too, man, come on. Like, what's going on?
I don't know. I think that like I guess my brother is a little bit like picky of an eater too. I'm like my mom always I don't know how true that is though because my mom always encouraged him to try different things and he just likes what he likes and he doesn't like his food to touch on a plate. Like he eats it all separate. So I guess some people just have their things. So
Yeah, I mean, but I crack up every time my friend says, "Justin, you have a palate of a 6-year-old," because I do. I after looking back,
do
like if I
you
go
like
to like,
goldfish? Like the
huh?
little goldfish crackers? Do you
Oh
like
my
those?
God, I love goldfish. So I work in a preschool. I work in a preschool,
Okay, so you're in like
and
kitty snack heaven.
yeah, I'm like kid snack heaven. Like I have goldfish. I got animal crackers. I got crackers. I got little cups of milk. So whenever the kids are eating goldfish, I sneak some in and have some with them. So
You know those
yeah.
animal cookies, the circus animals that come in the little red box that looks like the cage? Is it the Barnum?
Yes.
Barnums?
Yeah. They don't.
Yeah,
They don't
they're
have
really
those.
they're
Yeah,
so
those are
good.
amazing. Oh, they're incredible. I love those, but they don't have those at my job, and I'm very sad.
They
I
probably just
was.
get like the tub of animal cookies. That's what I remember they have
Yeah.
like, in the daycare, like
That's all
the
we
tub.
have. Yeah, that's all we have. We don't have like those little boxes. Like we're not fancy. Oh man, I miss those boxes of crackers. Those are so good.
Yeah, next time I go to the store, I'm definitely gonna get a box now because it's like a childhood nostalgia thing, right? Like mom would buy
Yeah.
every once in a while. It's like this is so cool. These are so
Yes.
good.
Yes. Oh my God. Oh, now you make me want some of those. Oh man.
Are you a
Shit.
hockey fan?
No, I'm not a hockey. I mean, kind of. Not. I mean, I'm a big sports fan. If those of you who are listening, she's talking about the Pittsburgh Penguins fathead that is on my wall.
Yeah, that's why I asked
Yeah,
because I'm a
yeah.
huge hockey fan, so I thought I would ask.
I live at home with my dad and my stepmom, and this is my dad's well, I live in the basement, and I used to live upstairs. Then they
Mhm.
said, "Hey, you're going to the basement." I'm like, "All right, whatever, fine." I got my own bathroom, and I got everything down here. I'm good. My own podcast studio. I'm straight. Uh, my dad said, "You are not taking anything down off my wall." I'm like, "Okay." I like sports. I got everything here. I got a fat head of Michael
I
Jordan
didn't
here.
know if you were a Penguins fan or not because
Well, I am.
I'm
I,
from DC, so I'm obviously a Capitals fan. So
Capitals, yeah, of course, Capitals.
big
If
rivalry there.
if I had to pick a hockey team, it would be Pittsburgh, mostly because of my dad. But if we're talking baseball, Red Sox all the way. Big
Red
Red
Sox
Sox fan. Are you a
I'm
baseball
a
fan?
Nationals fan.
Of
I
course,
just do DC sports. That's my home teams. So
Yeah, yeah. Hey, that's okay. I mean, I'm very broad. I live in New England, and my mom got mad at me when I said I hate the Patriots. I'm like, what's the big deal? She goes, Justin, you're from New England. You're supposed to like the
you
Patriots.
can't do that. It's your birthright.
I'm like, no, the fuck. I don't have to be a Patriots fan. Fuck Tom Brady. Fuck the Patriots, man. Broncos all the way. Clifford
There
Miller,
you go.
right
Let's go
here.
Broncos. Somebody
Just
says
said, let's go
let's go
Broncos. Yeah,
Broncos. Yeah.
exactly. Let's go Broncos. the sport that, like I said, I always liked though was baseball. I was
Baseball's
I
fun.
baseball. I was raised in a Red Sox house. My stepdad at the time, he was a Red Sox fan. My mom was a Red Sox fan. I have a twin brother. For a fun fact, he is not a baseball fan. He does not like sports. My whole family, a lot of my family likes sports, but they absolutely hate wrestling. I'm the only one in my family, yeah, that likes wrestling. Nobody else likes it. My grandma hates it. My dad hates it. My brother hates it. My mom doesn't hate it. She's supportive of what I do. They all are, but they won't watch wrestling, and they definitely won't listen to the podcast.
I am always like so grateful that my family enjoys wrestling and is supportive of me, because for every person I meet that like their parents are supportive in wrestling, I definitely meet the same amount of people who like their parents hate that they do wrestling. They don't want to be around it. Like they don't come out and support them. And like some of these people are like very accomplished people in wrestling,
Yeah,
right? So it's like, wow, really? Like that's really, really awful. Like I'm so happy that I have the support of my family in pursuing this, because it's just, I'm lucky, not everybody has that. So I
you could go
definitely would
so
never take it
far.
for granted.
Yeah, you could go so far in wrestling. Wrestling is a if you're good at it and you really
But do
push
you even
to.
really have to be good at it? Because like, was Hulk Hogan a good wrestler, or was he just entertaining? Like, if you really think about it,
He was
like,
entertaining.
is it really that you have to be phenomenal at the wrestling part? Or if you have the right balance and you can get people invested in you and behind you, it almost becomes secondary. Because if
He
you look at
was
people like
entertaining.
John Cena,
He
like
was
John
good.
Cena's a good wrestler, right? But like he's not like people aren't necessarily into seeing him do this crazy groundbreaking move. They want to see him do his gimmick, his ritual. Like people love it. And I think that we need to focus more on creating that investment with our fans, right? Like making them want to see these moments and these rituals happen that we all
Yeah,
remember from childhood.
yeah.
So
It's
you should always be
crazy.
a good wrestler. Don't get me wrong. You should always be good at wrestling, but if you are not the best at it, you still have a shot. That's all I'm saying.
I love how you said, was Hulk Hogan a good wrestler? He was overrated. He
He
always is
wasn't bad,
overrated. He
but he
wasn't
was not
bad.
like the best
No.
physical actual wrestler, right? So it's there's so much that goes into it. It's not just athletic prowess. There's so
Will I?
much that goes into being a performer.
Yeah. Will I go back to watch a Hulk Hogan match? No, never a fan. He never did it for me. I know he was great back in the 80s, wrestling Andre the Giant, wrestling, WrestleMania 1, obviously all these
I
other
was a
great matches.
bartender for a while, and I had a regular who went to WrestleMania. Was it WrestleMania 3 that he
Yep.
body slammed Andre? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just making sure I had the story
Yep, that was
straight.
it. That was it. That was in
This
Michigan,
dude would
Detroit.
get this dude would get trashed and tell me the story about how he was there for that every single night. Like he forgot he would tell. But it's so cool though that I'm like, wow, like that. But that moment, like this is what he remembers. Like 30 years later, like he remembers this. Like this is like so ingrained in his memory. This moment of Andre the Giant getting body slammed, like that was such a moment. And it's like we need to create more moments like that in wrestling that
A
people are
lot,
like talking about 30 years later
yeah.
when they're thinking, like
A,
that they loved that much.
yeah. A lot of people, obviously, a lot of people, big wrestling fans, they'll tell you every single match from WrestleMania 3. They'll tell you every single match from WrestleMania 6, and so on and so forth. But like you said, it's those moments in WrestleMania that people remember. WrestleMania 3, Hulk Hogan body slamming Andre the Giant in front of 80,000 people. WrestleMania 6, Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior. WrestleMania 17, just obviously, if you talk about WrestleMania 17, people are going to tell you the entire
I
card.
think that's like one of the best ones of
Oh,
all.
100%.
That's one of
100%.
my favorites. WrestleMania 17 is definitely one of my favorites. But how do you feel about WrestleMania 2000, a McMahon in every corner? That is my real question for you.
It was all right. I mean, it was all
Just
right.
messing with you.
Um,
I'm just messing with you.
no, it's all good.
Um,
But
Yeah,
there's
Seth Rollins getting RKO'd from the curb stomp at WrestleMania. Yeah.
that was 31.
CM Punk winning the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania. I think everybody in
Nice.
modern
2 years in a
history,
row. 2 years
yeah,
in
I
a
think
row.
everybody remembers WrestleMania 25, him sitting on top of that ladder while his music was playing, right? Like that's just something we remember.
Yep.
And it's not even it doesn't have to be a WrestleMania moment, right? Just creating that moment that people talk about years down the road that they're so
It's
bought invested
crazy.
in. Yeah, that's what I really like about wrestling is the ability to like do that. Is like
When
to
I
get people invested.
when I tell non-wrestling fan, a lot of because there's a few people who ask me, why do you watch wrestling? Why do you watch it? I'm like, because it's entertaining. Yeah, it's fake, but we know it's predetermined.
People watch stupid shit like The Bachelor religiously. Nobody can say anything to me about wrestling.
Exactly.
People are like, why are you wearing a wrestling shirt? And it's like, I don't know. Why are you walking around with Tom Brady jerseys on? Like, how is this any different?
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't really play nice with people that don't like wrestling, but that's just me.
I'm not a wrestler. You're a wrestler. I hate it when people tell me wrestling's fake. I'm like, okay, yeah. What I'm like, it's the injuries are real though. Like, yo, people actually get hurt in there. Like, you're going in there risking your life every single night.
Every match I have. Now, how hurt, that depends. Like, it could be I have a bruise or it could be I have an injury, but it's like, yeah, it's very, very physically intense,
Yeah.
And nobody should discredit what professional wrestlers do, ever.
They shouldn't. Don't bash wrestling.
You don't understand it, just be respectful of it and as the practice that it is, right? Like, I don't expect everybody to understand professional wrestling. I do expect people to be respectful of what we do in this sport.
I can't like put it into like, in terms, because I'm like kind of bad at explaining things, but I try my best to explain wrestling. I'm like, just sit down and watch this match. Like, when somebody asked me one time, what's your favorite match of all time? I said, if I had to choose off the top of my head right now, Shawn Michaels versus Taker at WrestleMania 25. When two wrestlers step into a ring, or even four wrestlers or six wrestlers, whatever, if they step into that ring and people still talk about that match 10 years later, you did something fucking special. Like, Shawn Michaels and Undertaker is by far the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. And nobody will change my mind.
Do you remember the video packages? Like, the video package they did for that specifically, I think, is one of the most incredible pieces of production in wrestling to ever grace us as fans. But I miss that sometimes, like those packages, like with the moody 2000s hard rock, like leading up to the big match. And I really thought that was really cool. And it also helps people that like don't watch every week, like figure out what's going on if they're just tuning in. Like, that's so important to do stuff like that. I really hope that makes a comeback too. I want more of those vignettes. I think that's fun in wrestling. Austin Rock promo package, yes.
Yeah. That was great. Oh, Austin and Rock, every time they step foot into the ring, they wrestle
WrestleMania 1999, right?
Yeah. Every time they stepped into the ring, they fucking amazing. Fucking amazing. What they wrestled at, if I'm not mistaken, they wrestled at 15, 17, and the last time they wrestled at 19. It was every other Mania. 19, obviously, was something special. That's one of my favorite WrestleManias, too, only because at the time, I didn't watch wrestling at the time, but like when I got into wrestling, I realized, oh, WrestleMania 19 was in a baseball stadium. Let me check that out. So two of my favorite things in one, baseball and wrestling, all in one. So you couldn't beat that. Like, I was like a kid in a candy store.
I did a podcast a couple of weeks ago and we were talking about like just obscure wrestling events like that. And I'm going to ask you if have you ever seen Hog Wild?
Hog Wild?
Yeah, that they had at the Sturgis bike rally. It was a wrestling event.
Nope.
I believe it was I think it was WCW. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But yes,
that's
one too. If you're looking for like just different weird venues, that's a fun one.
Oh, it was WCW.
Yeah,
no, I never saw Hog Wild. That's an odd.
I've never seen that. It's so great. You should definitely watch it on the network.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. Hog Wild, huh? I definitely gotta watch that.
It's fun. It's a good fun one to watch. Just like the venue's so different. Like, sometimes when there's so much wrestling going on in the modern world, it's fun to sit back and watch stuff that's a little bit older. Like, I love Starrcade. Starrcade from the late 80s is one of my favorites to go to.
Yeah, Starrcade was great. We're talking about all these matches. I named my favorite WrestleMania match. I don't know if you named yours. What is your all-time favorite WrestleMania match, and I'm also glad we have
I don't know
the
if I can pick. Holy moly. I really
same
like
opinion.
Rock Austin from
Of course,
15.
yeah.
Yeah, that one's a big one for me. I don't know why. I just love that match.
Wrestling was great at
Shawn
that
Michaels
time.
Undertaker. That's another one. There's so many. It's so hard to pick just one, right?
Yeah, it is. It's very hard. WrestleMania matches, wrestling match in general. If I had to pick my favorite women's wrestling match of all time, 5 years later, almost 6 years later, till this very day, I say, in my opinion, you guys could disagree if you want. Sasha Banks versus Bayley at NXT Takeover 2015 in Brooklyn is by far the greatest women's wrestling match I've ever seen. Hands down. Obviously the Iron Man match was great, but their match in Brooklyn, so good. I still get chills like talking about it. I still get chills watching that match and listening to the whole arena count in unison. 1, 2, 3. It's so special. Bayley to Sasha Takeover 2015, fucking phenomenal. Great match, great story, and
I
wonderful,
enjoyed
wonderful.
the Hell in a Cell, Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks had recently. It might have been last year. That was a really, really good match. Like, just very good. And even for being a gimmick match, like, that match was fun. That's one of my favorites.
A lot of gimmick matches don't do that nowadays. A lot of gimmick matches suck. Which
Yeah, that's why that one was so good. It was like, wow, they're really like onto something. This is good, like.
But Sasha and Bayley had
though,
Sasha and Bayley had a great match at Hell in a Cell this past year too. Best match on the entire card, in my opinion, at least. But it's very hard to pick and choose your favorite wrestling match, especially WrestleMania match, because, like you said, there's so many. But I'm really glad you and I think alike. WrestleMania 17. A lot of people think that though. A lot of people will say WrestleMania 17 is the greatest WrestleMania of all time, because it is. If you haven't seen it, what are you doing with your life? Go watch it. Stop what you're doing right now. Go watch it on the WWE Network, because you will not regret it. But yeah, WrestleMania 17. It's crazy stuff, Kaya. But yeah, Kaya, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. Sorry for the technical difficulties we had before, and everybody listening.
It happens. Mercury retrograde. Technology always is weird and finicky during Mercury retrograde. It's a thing. You just got to roll with it.
Of course. You got to roll with it. I always say no podcast is perfect, but that's okay. You learn from your mistakes, and you just keep going on with the show. The show must go on no matter what. But yeah, Kaya, thank you again so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, I definitely got it. With you. Yeah, I'll have you on again soon down the road. But of course, as always, drop those plugs. Where can the Nerds of Wrestling find you?
Okay, so I have Twitter and Instagram. That's it. I don't do Facebook. I don't do anything else. I try to keep it all funneled to those two platforms. My handle is at Kaya MCK, so it's KAIA MCK. I'm working on getting a merch store set up, but I do have 8x10s and t-shirts and stickers available. If you DM me on Instagram or Twitter, I can get those out to you. That's what I got going right now.
There you
go. Actually on Camp Love Frog on the 14th and Synergy coming up as well. That's what I got in the works. I wish I had more on my schedule. It's a little bit slow with the pandemic, but it's more than some. So I'll gladly take what I have.
Yeah.
Please follow me there and we'll be friends.
Of course, it happens, but definitely, like I said, thank you so much for coming on. Nerds, definitely go follow her on all social media platforms. Don't forget to watch Camp Love Frog. Don't forget to watch Synergy. A lot of great stuff. Kyle's an amazing wrestler. I can't wait to see. What's in store for you.
Thank you.
In the future. Yeah, very excited. I definitely hope to see you or meet you at a wrestling show once this whole pandemic is over, because I cannot fucking wait to go back to a wrestling show. I'm itching to go back. I need to go back. I need wrestling in my life. I'm having big time wrestling withdrawals, but
it'll be soon. We just have to hang in there.
Gotta hang in there. I went this far. I could go another couple months. I think I can handle it. I think I'm good.
Yeah,
Think of
I
it.
think we'll be all right. We just got to hang in there. We're in the home stretch. Let's just keep going strong.
We're in the home stretch, exactly. All right, nerds. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of What's Up Wrestler. Until next time, I am Justin Del Rio, the host of the What's Up Wrestler Nerds of Wrestling podcast. Peace out, nerds.